So as you can see, World War II was a lot more cluttered than Hastings was, a lot less open. And in this area we're also introduced to journals. These are objects that display information to the player about the time period. This one isn't an actual written account, but the other ones are. The player can, since the player is locked out of moving when they're holding a journal, they're able to rotate it, so they can get a good look at the model in all of its glory. There's a lot of artillery, kind of thing you'd never see in Hastings, and a lot of rain and a lot of dead bodies. Unlike the previous one, this is an actual historical account. If you want to, you can pause it and you can read it, but we won't spend too much time on that right now. What instead we're going to be drawing our attention to is to a new game mechanic, which is low gaps that the player needs to press shift so that they can crouch under, and that's how they make it past. It's not just journals that give information though. Over here we have a couple machine guns that have some trivia attached to them, and again the player can't carry them around, so they use the arrow keys to rotate them. The player has to use these ramps to advance to the next part because the player can't jump, and again they'll have to crouch to get underneath this area. The player is taught to use ramps early because it's going to be important later. This is the second to last journal. This one is from the British Army, which is important because the next one won't be. Okay, let's make our way up. A lot of the tanks will tell you that there's no ammunition in them. It's the player's objective right now to find ammunition to shoot down a bunker, so that's important. There's a lot of scattered debris and dead bodies and barriers that make navigating this area very interesting. This is the last journal. This one's actually from a German soldier. You can see him holding it. Presumably it was his. Maybe holding his journal was the last thing he ever did. But over here, there's some trivia. Amongst the dead bodies, we have some statistics over how many people perished. I think the journals are a very important part of the game because it adds some humanity, as do the houses. There's the bunker, and this is the tank we're going to be using to blow it up. It's a Comet tank, and we will be using 2 key items to progress and blow up that bunker. But the interesting thing that you'll see in a moment is that you have to use them in a specific order to advance. So right now we're heading to an artillery area to pick up some ammunition. And if we take this straight to the tank over there, what you'll find is that once you give it to the tank, you're told that you actually need a key to initiate it. So the player first has to find a key. Now the key's a very small object, so it's something that the player would be very easy for the player to miss. So what we did was we had the key. We have a light source right next to the key so that it shines brightly, so the player can actually notice it, which is important because they use it to advance. There are high walls here, so the player can't just climb up them. What they have to do is use what they learned from earlier about ramps and actually climb up this tree. So that's how they make it out of that pit. So with a combination of the key and the ammunition, we're able to advance. I think that maybe the ammunition could have used a bit of a stronger light source there to make it as apparent as the key was. But regardless, this is the last thing we have to do to leave this dreary environment. We're given the prompt, press space to fire, and once we do, the ammunition is shot and the bunker is destroyed with a fitting sound effect. And just like that, we are able to descend in here and the game is finished. The idea was to have one more scene take place in another war, and presumably you'd fall down here there'd be a hole here which would allow you to advance to the next area. But we thought we'd focus on making these two areas as good as we could. So that's